Welcome to Late Night Thoughts. This is another experimental series. We get to see what happens with this, if it continues, if it doesn't, who knows. Think of it as a pilot episode, guys. It's right now 3 a.m. as I'm recording this video. Let's talk about something that's on my mind. And one thing that's been on my mind is Metal Gear Solid 5. I've been recently replaying that game. Usually what I do is I delete my original save file. I do back it up, so I do have a backup of my original file. I delete the file off my hard drive itself, and then I just go back in and play from start to finish, and then I just restore my original file once I'm done. That kind of stuff. So why am I talking about MGS5? Why that I want to talk about. Now I do want to do a more in-depth video in the future. That is an idea I'm having, but I have a lot of other videos to do, so that video is gonna just have to wait, I guess. But I want to talk about just a little quickly, or just in general. I think MGS5 is the most unappreciated or underappreciated game that has come out. Now, that's not to say that it's not overhyped or that it wasn't overhyped. I think it was overhyped, but I think a lot of people ignore the the charm and the risk that MGS5 takes. MGS5 takes a big risk, and one of them most notably being obviously is that the main character is not Big Boss. The main character is a body double, and not a lot of people loved it. And I can understand that. I can understand people not liking liking that aspect of it, but I thought it was kind of cool. Like at first, I didn't like it either, but when I started thinking about it, it really started to grow on me because not a lot of games or movies or stories kind of take that risk. I mean, and some that do either work very well or they don't, because it could come off easily as a plot twist for the sake of being a plot twist, and that's I can understand why people don't like those kind of plot twists. There's a reason why people really kind of think it's hack, but I think in the terms of MGS5, it was actually kind of refreshing to see something that's not something that you'd expect. It would be the last thing you would expect, and that's kind of what I think more prequels should do. Kind of play with that expectation because we kind of know Big Boss's backstory enough with the games. Like we understand that he does meet Sniper Wolf. You do know that he makes Outer Heaven, Gray Fox, and all that. But do you really need to see a lot of these things? I mean, if you really think about it, like all that stuff is kind of fan service and pandering, and that's not bad either. But when you're trying to tell like a gripping story, I think the best part is not knowing exactly, uh, what to expect, and no one would expect that Big Boss is a body double in Fan Pain. And when I'm playing the game, there's a lot of other more subtle clues that you get to admire, like the AI pod. Now before when you first play it, it's like the AI pod is busted. It obviously not gonna recognize Big Boss because it was under the ocean for so long. But when you play it again, it's like, oh, that's why it's like you're not Jack, and that kind of makes a little more sense. Uh, I do like that. When I was watching the pause scene, when you see pause in the infirmary or whatever, it is more evident that it is an hallucination. There's a lot more subtle clues to it that I didn't even think about when I first played it, and it blew my mind. Now that I'm looking at it, when I was like looking at it, the lighting changes. Like when, obviously when you first meet pause, the lighting's kind of straightforward. It's kind of normal. But as soon as you mentioned the bomb that was inside in Ground Zeroes, the lighting suddenly changes. It becomes red. It starts to reminisce to what actually happened. Now, of course, the flashback is a flashback, but when you see like the colors, the lighting change in the scene where she's like looking down, or when she started saying that before it triggered the flashback, it's like, oh, that's a nice thing that I didn't even pay much attention to. That it was like it had to be in his mind because there was no red light in the room. Uh, and I think that was really it was a nice touch, and these small touches go a long way. And I wish more directors and more filmmakers kind of took these ideas. Some movies do it well, like The Shining, 2001: A Space Odyssey. Even The Arrival in some cases, really work with these subtle clues or subtleties, and that's what we need. I'm tired of games explaining things to the gamer. I mean, yeah, it's nice in some cases, but I think the way that MGS5 does it's kind of unsung. Not a lot of people mention it because I haven't seen a lot of people talk about the lighting used in scenes or even the dialogue. Like, when you watch the cutscene where you first meet Paz, pay attention to the background. You don't see a door, like the door behind the door that you come through that remains open. You don't really see Ocelot just come. He just kind of pops up. He just kind of comes out of nowhere. And in MGS5, that's kind of unheard of because they usually like show them opening a door or whatever. They don't really show him just kind of, oh, he's here now. Unless you're arriving into a room that he's waiting for you or something. But like, it's stuff like that that's really cool, and not a lot of people notice. That kind of goes unnoticed by a lot of the gamers. Now, a lot of people kind of complain about like, oh, the content that's missing in the game, like a Mission 51, the third chapter, and this and that. Like, yeah, that sucks. But the at the same time, the could have been of MGS5 is more attractive than the what is. Like, the could have been for MGS4 is way more attractive than the MGS4 we got, and more people should just start looking at the game for what it is. And that's not to say that the game has no flaws or that it's perfect. Of course, everyone has their own opinions, and of course, people can be disappointed that there's no third chapter. That's still a valid argument. I'm not saying that's not any less valid, but people are like making it out to be as if the third chapter not in MGS5 makes the game worse or something. When if anything, maybe the third chapter would make the game worse than what it is. It's kind of tricky because a lot of times when these things get cut or deleted, it's for reasons that are not as exciting or like, oh wow. Some of them are, and I'm sure that like the whole thing with Konami and Kojima didn't really help MGS5's development, but I just don't really think that we can focus on the what if with MGS5, because obviously the what if is always going to be the best. Like, MGS5 could have been an amazing game, but you could say that with about almost every single game. Uncharted 4 could have been an amazing game. This game could have been an amazing game. That game, um, and again, that doesn't make those criticisms less valid. It's just you know you gotta look at what you have and just say like MGS5 is good for what it is, or that's bad for what it is. I'm sure it has a lot of flaws, but I think MGS5 is very unique and very different in some ways. Yeah, the gameplay is repetitious, it's grinding, it's not the best, but I like that it's a little bit open-ended. It's that it allows you to kind of experiment. Does it mean that it's an amazing game? Oh, does this, whatever? No, but I think that if Kojima stayed on the team, if he didn't leave Konami, maybe MGS6 would have been better. Maybe they would have done something better with it. But right now, the way that it is, I kind of don't want Konami to make any more. Especially since they came up with Survive, and Survive is its own beast on itself that I could kind of talk about myself in another video. But MGS5 I think it's a very interesting game, and I think a lot of people don't give it credit for what it does to the series, because everyone says like, oh, it doesn't play like a Metal Gear game, but if you look at all of the Metal Gear games, they do change a lot of the fundamentals in some ways. It's been kind of subtle usually, but like if you look at MGS2 to MGS3, they play completely different. They don't play the same at all. they have the same control layout in some ways, but at the same time, like MGS3 added the survival viewer, CQC, all these things that I think make that game, amazing. And I like MGS3 a lot more because of those additions. Um, but MGS5 does a lot of things that I think is unique, different, and just fun overall. That I think a lot of people should just kind of uh, be happy with, or at least be what's the word? Interested. I don't know. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. I guess maybe, but I think if you give the game a chance, if you play it again, try to go in with a different mindset instead of like expecting like, oh, this is gonna be a life changing game or whatever. Maybe MGS5 is gonna have a different light to you because after I beat it the first time and I kind of expected after I've seen all that the game has to offer, I started to enjoy the game a lot more than I did when I played it the first time. Obviously the first time is like kind of a special kind of feeling, but MGS5 kind of succeeds in kind of having this unique feel that I just can't really describe that much. Now, of course, that's not to say that it's the end all be all games. I think there's a lot of games that do what MGS5 does and it does it better. But I like MGS5 for what it is, and I think it's a lot of fun, and I think people should kind of go in and maybe look at some of the other stuff that maybe I have missed. There's a lot of stuff that is kind of interesting that I didn't really think about when I was playing it, like the lighting being one of them, obviously. Uh, so I think that's it for this video. So if you want to see more videos like this, let me know. Let me know in the comments section below if you like this kind of video series. If you have any suggestions how to make this video series better, that's fine by me as well. You can reach me either on the YouTube comments or you could tweet me at TheoDoesArt. I'll put my Twitter in the description below, and hope to hear from you guys soon. Thank you for watching this late night thoughts video, and I hope you liked it. Thank you for watching. See ya.